Welcome back to Bargirl Baddies. Today's story isn't about romance or bar scams. It's about something that can destroy your life in Thailand even faster than a broken heart or an empty bank account. It's about throwing a punch when you shouldn't have. This is Jake's story. A 28-year-old electrician from Melbourne who thought he could handle himself in a street fight. He was wrong. And what happened next cost him nearly $11,000. His freedom, his home, and almost his future in the one place he'd actually felt alive. If you've ever been tempted to stand your ground in a foreign country, if you've ever felt that surge of adrenaline when someone disrespects you and thought maybe, just maybe, you should do something about it, you need to hear this. Because Jake didn't do anything crazy. He didn't start a fight. He didn't go looking for trouble. He just did what most of us would do back home when someone pushes us. He pushed back. And that single moment of instinct changed everything. Before we dive in, drop a comment below and let us know where you're watching from. Have you ever had a close call abroad? Ever been in a situation where things could have gone sideways? Hit that like button if you felt that tension, and subscribe because this story could genuinely save you from making the same mistake Jake made. Alright, let's get into it. This comes from Jake himself, an email he sent us a few months back. Here's his story, in his own words. Look, I'll be honest with you. I wasn't running from anything dramatic when I bought that one-way ticket to Bangkok. No messy divorce, no criminal record, no debts chasing me. I was just tired, properly tired. The kind of tired that seeps into your bones after 5 years of waking up at 5 in the morning, pulling on high-vis gear that never seems to get properly clean, and spending your days in roof cavities in 40-degree heat running electrical cable for some property developer's latest townhouse project. I'm Jake. I'm from Melbourne's western suburbs, Footscray to be exact, and I've been working as a sparky since I finished my apprenticeship at 23. Good money, don't get me wrong. I was pulling in about 75 grand a year, sometimes more when the overtime was flowing, but Christ, it was monotonous. Same sights, same blokes, same conversations about footy and who got on the piss hardest over the weekend. I'd wake up Monday morning and already be counting down to Friday Arvo knockoff. I lived with 2 mates in a share house, paying $1,200 a month for a bedroom that barely fit a double bed and a chest of drawers. We had a decent setup though. Good bunch of boys. Friday nights at the local, watching the Western Bulldogs lose more games than they won. Tinder dates that mostly went nowhere. Because, let's face it, when you're covered in dust and exhausted by 7 p.m, you're not exactly prime dating material. But I was saving. That was my one achievement. $45,000 in the bank. I'd been putting away $500 a week, sometimes more, for nearly 5 years. I didn't have a plan for it exactly. Maybe a house deposit eventually, though in Melbourne that 45 grand wouldn't even cover the stamp duty on a decent place. Maybe a ute, maybe just security. But mostly it just sat there while I kept grinding. Then one Friday night at the pub, my mate Damo came back from his annual Thailand trip. He always did 2 weeks in Phuket, came back browner than a berry, showing photos of beaches and cocktails, and beautiful Thai girls smiling in bikinis. But this time, he was different. He'd stayed an extra week, gone to Pattaya, met some expats who'd been living there for years. He couldn't shut up about it. Mate, he said, you could live like a king on what you're making. Rent's nothing, food's nothing, beer's $1.50. These blokes are living in nice apartments with pools, going to the gym, beach every day, and they're spending less in a month than we spend in a week. I nodded along, half listening, because I'd heard it all before. Thailand's cheap, yeah, everyone knows that. But then he said something that stuck. He said, what are you saving for anyway? You're 28, you've got no mortgage, no kids, no ties. You could take a year off tomorrow, and your savings would barely move. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay there in my hot bedroom, fan doing nothing but pushing warm air around, and I thought about the next day. Saturday morning, I'd wake up, probably hungover, maybe go to the gym, watch the footy, maybe swipe through Tinder for a bit, order Uber Eats because I couldn't be bothered cooking. Then Sunday would come, and that sick feeling would start building because Monday was coming and it was all starting again. 5 years. 5 years of the same thing. And for what? So I could keep saving for some vague future that never seemed to get any closer. I started watching YouTube videos that week. Expats in Thailand, digital nomads, guys who packed it in and moved to Southeast Asia. Early retirement videos, cost of living breakdowns. I watched this one Canadian bloke who showed his monthly expenses in Chiang Mai. Rent, food, transportation, entertainment, gym, everything. 700 Australian dollars. Total. I was spending that in a fortnight just on rent and food. The algorithm fed me more. British guy in Pattaya, showing his apartment, pool on the roof, 250 quid a month. American in Bangkok, older bloke, retired early, living better than he ever did in the States on a fraction of the money. And they all said the same thing. I wish I'd done this sooner. I thought about it for 2 months. Properly thought about it. Did the maths. If I spent conservatively, say 30,000 baht a month, that's about 1,300 Australian dollars. My 45 grand would last nearly 3 years. 3 years. I could have 3 years of not setting an alarm, not answering to a site manager, not spending my days in ceiling spaces breathing in insulation. 3 years of actually living instead of just grinding and waiting for the weekend. I didn't tell anyone at first. Just started researching. Visas, areas to live, expat forums. I learned that Pattaya had a reputation but also had a quieter area called Jomtien that was more relaxed, more beach, less madness. I read about Bangkok, Chiang Mai, Hua Hin, but Jomtien kept coming up. Close to Bangkok if you needed it, beach town vibe, established expat community, good mix of locals and foreigners. When I finally told my mates, they thought I was having a breakdown. My mum cried, thought I was running away from something. My dad just said, "It's your life, mate, but don't come back broke." My boss offered me more money, said I was a good worker, said he'd hold my position for a month if I wanted to just take a holiday. But I didn't want a holiday. I wanted out. I wanted to wake up one morning and not know what the day would bring. I wanted to feel something other than tired. I bought a one-way ticket, didn't book accommodation, didn't have a plan beyond land, find a place, see how it goes. The night before I left, my housemates threw me a going-away thing at the pub. Everyone got properly on it, speeches about what a mad thing I was doing, jokes about ladyboys and ping-pong shows. I laughed along, but inside I was terrified. What if I hated it? What if I ran out of money? What if this was just a stupid quarter-life crisis? The flight was overnight. I couldn't sleep, kept thinking about what I'd done. I'd quit my job, moved out of the house, put my stuff in my parents' garage, bought a one-way ticket to a country I'd never been to. It felt huge and stupid and exciting all at once. Bangkok hit me like a wall. I landed at 6 in the morning, stepped out of the airport, and the heat wrapped around me like a wet blanket. 35 degrees at dawn. The air smelled like fuel and flowers, and something cooking, all mixed together. The noise was immediate. Horns, announcements, people shouting in Thai, the rumble of traffic. I got in a taxi and just watched the city slide past. Motorbikes everywhere, weaving through traffic like water. Street stalls already open, people eating noodles for breakfast. Skyscrapers, next to temples, next to slums. It was chaos, and it was beautiful, and I felt more awake than I had in years. I spent 3 days in Bangkok, staying in a cheap hostel in Khao San Road just to get my bearings. Then I caught a bus to Pattaya. The bus ride was 3 hours, windows down, countryside rolling past, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Possibility. Like anything could happen. Like I'd actually done something brave instead of just thinking about it. Jomtien Beach when I arrived was exactly what I'd hoped for. Not the neon madness of central Pattaya, just a long curve of sand, palm trees, the ocean flat and blue under the afternoon sun. I found a cheap hotel for the first week, 500 baht a night, about 23 Australian dollars. The room was basic but clean. Aircon worked, hot water, balcony overlooking the street. I dropped my backpack and went straight to the beach. I'll never forget that first swim. The water was warm, like a bath, and I just floated there, looking back at the shoreline, at the street stalls and bars and motorbikes, at the mountains in the distance, and I thought, this is it. This is what I needed. The first month was pure magic. I found an apartment within a week. Studio, 8th floor, balcony, about 30 square meters, 8,000 baht a month, 365 Australian dollars. My share of rent back in Footscray was 1,200. This place had a pool, a gym in the building, 24-hour security. I couldn't believe it. My routine developed quickly. I'd wake up naturally, no alarm, usually around 8. Head down to the gym in the building, small but decent equipment, hardly anyone there in the mornings. 600 baht a month membership. $27. Back home, I was paying $60 a month for a gym that was always packed. After the gym, I'd grab breakfast from a street stall. Rice, chicken, fried egg, Thai tea, 60 baht, less than $3. Then I'd head to the beach, find a spot, read, swim, just exist. Lunches were at different street restaurants. Pad Thai, 40 baht. Tom Yum soup, 50 baht. Fried rice with prawns, 60 baht. Everything was delicious and cost nothing. I'd eat like a king for 100 baht a meal, sometimes less. 4 or 5 Australian dollars for food that would cost 20 back home. Evenings, I'd meet up with other expats. There was a British bloke called Rob, about 35, used to work in finance in London, burned out, sold everything, been in Thailand 2 years. There was Mike, a Canadian, younger than me, doing some online work, digital nomad type. Few older Australian blokes, 60s and 70s, retired early, living out their days in the sun. We'd meet at the same bar most nights, nothing fancy, open air place, plastic chairs, cold beer. Leo beer, 45 baht a bottle, 2 Australian dollars. We'd sit there for hours, talking about everything and nothing. They'd tell me stories about their first months, mistakes they'd made, places to go, places to avoid. They warned me about Bargirls, about scams, about staying out of trouble. I listened, but I wasn't worried. I wasn't here for that scene. One just wanted peace and sun and cheap living. My monthly expenses settled around 30,000 baht. Rent 8,000, food maybe 10,000, gym 600, beers and entertainment, another 8 or 9,000, motorbike taxi trips, laundry, random stuff. Sometimes I'd spend a bit more, sometimes less, but on average 30,000. 1,365 Australian dollars a month. Back home, that wouldn't even cover rent and groceries. I did the maths lying in bed one night. My 45,000 Australian dollars, at this rate, would last me 33 months, nearly 3 years. 3 years of this life. No boss, no deadlines, no traffic, no cold Melbourne winters. Just sun and sea and freedom. Those first few months, I felt like I'd cracked the code. Like I'd figured out what everyone else was too scared to do. I'd video call my mates back home, and they'd be complaining about work, about the cold, about how expensive everything was, and I'd be sitting on my balcony in board shorts with a cold beer, showing them the sunset over Jomtien Beach. Part of me felt guilty, like I'd cheated the system, but mostly I just felt free. I started getting into a rhythm. Morning gym, beach, lunch, siesta, during the hot part of the day, late afternoon walk or motorbike ride, evening beers with the boys. Weekends weren't different from weekdays, because every day was a weekend. Time stopped meaning what it used to mean. I stopped checking what day it was. Stopped thinking about the future. Just lived in the present, day by day, exactly like all those YouTube videos had promised. I picked up some basic Thai. Sawati crap for hello. Kop kong crap for thank you. May pen rai for no worries. The locals appreciated it when I tried. I learned how to bargain at markets, how to order food without pointing, how to get around on the back of a motorbike taxi without looking like a terrified tourist. I felt like I was becoming part of the place, not just passing through. My regular motorbike taxi guy, an older Thai bloke named Somchai, started recognizing me, would wait outside my building some mornings, take me wherever I needed to go for 40 or 50 baht. I had a regular coffee stall where the lady would start making my order when she saw me coming. I knew which bars had the coldest beer, which restaurants did the best green curry, which 7-Eleven had the nicest staff. I felt like a local. Or at least, I felt like I belonged. And that feeling, that sense of being somewhere that made sense, where life was simple and cheap and warm and easy, that was everything I'd been missing in Melbourne. This was the dream I'd been chasing without knowing I was chasing it. If only I'd known then what I know now. If only I'd listened more carefully to what Rob and the other expats have been trying to tell me. Stay humble, stay respectful, remember you're a guest. And most importantly, no matter what happens, no matter how right you think you are, never, ever fight back. But I'm getting ahead of myself. For those first 6 months, everything was perfect. I was living the dream. And I genuinely believed nothing could touch me. By month 3, something had shifted. I didn't notice it at first. But looking back, that's when the magic started fading into routine. Not in a bad way exactly. More like when you first fall in love with someone and everything they do is fascinating, and then 6 months later, They're just your person and the butterflies are gone, but you're comfortable. That's what Thailand became. Comfortable. I still loved it. Don't get me wrong, but I stopped waking up amazed that I was there. The beach became my office view instead of a miracle. The cheap food was just normal food. The heat was just the weather. I'd found my rhythm and settled into it, and with that settling came a kind of casual confidence that, looking back, was probably the first sign I was losing my edge. I started drinking more. Not problem drinking, nothing like that. But it went from a few beers a few nights a week to a few beers most nights to a few beers every night. Rob and Mike and the other expats, we had our spot at this bar called Som's, named after the owner's wife. Open-air place, right on the main road in Jomtien. Red plastic chairs, Christmas lights strung up year-round, Thai pop music playing from a speaker that crackled on the high notes. We'd meet there around 6, stay till midnight or later. It was our routine. The gym visits dropped off too. Started going 4 times a week, then 3. Then I'd skip a few days here and there. My body didn't change much, I was still in decent shape, but the discipline slipped. I'd wake up later, sometimes 10 or 11 if I'd been out late. The structure I'd built in that first month dissolved into a kind of pleasant aimlessness. Every day was the same, which was exactly what I'd wanted, except somewhere along the way it stopped feeling like freedom and started feeling like just a different kind of routine. I was still happy though, still loved my life. Still video called my mates back home and felt smug about my choices when they complained about working in the rain or paying $8 for a beer. But I was getting comfortable in a way that made me careless. I stopped being so careful about cultural differences, stopped thinking so hard about how I was coming across, started acting more like I would in Australia, which in Australia is fine, but in Thailand is not always fine. There were small moments, nothing serious, just little clashes. Like the time I got annoyed at a street vendor who shortchanged me 20 baht, and I made a bit of a scene about it instead of just letting it go, 20 baht less than $1. But I was right, you know. She had shortchanged me. So I pointed it out, a bit loud, a bit aggressive, very Australian about it. She gave me the 20 baht, but the look on her face, the way the people around us went quiet, I knew I'd messed up somehow. Rob pulled me aside later and said, "Mate, you embarrassed her." She lost face. That's a big deal here. It's not about being right. Or the time I cut in front of a queue at 7-Eleven because I didn't realise there was a queue. It wasn't obvious. People were just kind of standing around. An older Thai bloke said something to me in Thai, not aggressive, just informing me. But I got defensive. I said, "There's no line, mate. How am I supposed to know?" He didn't speak English, just shook his head and looked away. Another customer, a Thai woman who spoke English, gently told me that I should go to the back. I did, but I was annoyed about it. In my head, I was thinking, why don't they just form a proper queue then? These little moments started adding up. Nothing dramatic, nothing that caused real problems, but looking back, they were signs. Signs that I was starting to think Thailand should work the way Australia works, that my way of doing things was the right way, and if something didn't make sense to me, it was wrong. That's dangerous thinking when you're a guest in someone else's country. The other expats tried to warn me, in their subtle way. Mike said once, "You've got to stay humble here, brother. The second you start thinking you know how things work, that's when you get caught out." Rob told me about a mate of his who got deported after a bar fight. Said it didn't matter that he didn't start it. Foreigners always lose those situations. I nodded along, but I didn't really take it in. I thought I was different. I thought I was respectful. I thought I knew what I was doing. 6 months in, I felt like I'd been there years. I knew my neighbourhood. I knew the people. I felt safe and settled, and like this was my place too, not just Thailand's. And that feeling, that sense of ownership over a life that wasn't really mine to own, that's what made me vulnerable. It was a Saturday night in late October. 6 months almost to the day since I'd arrived. Nothing special about it, just another weekend night. Rob, Mike and I decided to try a different bar. We usually went to Som's, but we've been there so many times we wanted a change. One of the older Aussie blokes, Dave, told us about a place a few streets back from the beach. More local, he said. Cheaper beer, good vibe, mix of Thais and expats. We figured why not. The place was called Rim Lay, which I think meant seaside or something like that. It wasn't actually on the seaside, it was down a soi off the main road. But whatever. It was exactly like Dave described. Open air, concrete floor, tin roof, Red and white plastic chairs and tables, a small bar in the corner with a fridge full of beer, Thai pop music playing, not too loud, mix of people. Few tables of Thai locals, couple of Farang like us, some older guys playing pool in the back, felt authentic. Felt like the real Thailand, not the tourist version. We grabbed a table, ordered a bucket of Leo, 5 bottles in ice for 150 baht, 7 Australian dollars for 5 beers. We were in good spirits, talking rubbish, laughing. I'd had a good day. Beach in the morning, solid gym session for once, decent noodles for lunch. I was feeling relaxed and happy, and like everything was exactly as it should be. We'd been there maybe 2 hours, on our second bucket, properly buzzed but not drunk. I could walk straight, talk straight, I was in control. The bar was filling up, getting louder. More Thais coming in, groups of friends, couples. The atmosphere was good. Everyone was having a laugh. I felt welcome there. Felt like we fit in. Around 11, maybe 11:30, I needed to piss. I got up, navigated through the tables toward the back where the bathrooms were. The bar was packed by then, people standing because all the tables were full, groups of Thai guys around the pool table, music louder. I was weaving through, saying, "Excuse me," being polite. I didn't see him coming. This Thai bloke, maybe early 30s, wearing a red football jersey, probably Thai national team, walking the other direction from the bathroom. We were both moving through a tight gap between tables, and we collided. Not hard, just shoulder to shoulder, the kind of bump that happens in crowded places. I barely registered it. I said, "Sorry mate," and kept walking. Didn't even look at him properly, just wanted to get to the bathroom. Then I felt a hand on my shoulder. Firm grip, spinning me around. I turned, and there he was, the guy I'd bumped, and his face was angry. He said something in Thai, rapid fire, aggressive tone. I didn't understand a word. I said, "Sorry mate, accident," and tried to turn away again. His hand came to my chest and pushed. Not a shove exactly, but a definite push. Assertive. The kind of push that says, "I'm not done with you." Now, back home, if someone pushes you in a bar, you've got options. You can laugh it off, you can talk them down, or you can push back and establish that you're not someone to mess with. In Australia, that third option sometimes works. Sometimes a bit of chest-to-chest posturing is enough, and everyone backs down and goes back to their drinks. But I wasn't in Australia. I pushed back. Not hard, just a firm hand to his chest, creating space. I said, "Easy mate, it was an accident." My tone was calm, but my body language was clear. "Don't push me again." His eyes went wide. He said something else in Thai, louder this time. His mates at a nearby table, 4 guys, all mid-20s to 30s, they stood up. I saw them moving in my peripheral vision, but I kept my eyes on the guy in front of me. Rob appeared then, grabbed my arm. "Jake, let's go, mate. Just walk away." His voice had an urgency I should have listened to. Mike was there too, putting himself between me and the Thai guy, saying, no problem, sorry, we go." But my pride was up. That stupid, stubborn male pride that makes you do idiotic things. I hadn't done anything wrong. I'd bumped into someone by accident, apologised and gotten pushed. If anything, he was the aggressor. I wasn't going to be pushed around in a bar and then run away like a coward. Not by some bloke who couldn't take a simple, "Sorry." I said, "I'm not going anywhere." He pushed me. The Thai guy said something to his mates. They moved closer. One of them, skinny guy in a tank top, said in broken English, "You go now." Before problem. I should have gone. Rob was pulling my arm. Mike was backing away. The situation was clearly about to escalate. Every rational part of my brain was saying, "Leave. It's not worth it. Just go." But I'd had 5 beers and 6 months of feeling comfortable and confident in Thailand, and I thought I could handle it. I thought standing my ground was the right move. I said, "I'll go when I'm ready. He needs to apologise for pushing me." Looking back, I can't believe I said that. The arrogance. The stupidity. The complete misunderstanding of where I was and what was happening. The Thai guy in the red jersey stepped forward, right in my face now. He said something in Thai that I didn't need to translate to understand. Then he threw the first real punch. It caught me on the jaw, not perfectly, kind of glancing, because I saw it coming and moved my head, but enough to snap my head sideways and send a shock through my skull. The taste of blood in my mouth immediately bit my tongue. Everything went into slow motion and fast forward at the same time. My body reacted before my brain caught up. I'd been in a few scraps back home, played rugby for years, knew how to handle myself in a physical confrontation. I stepped forward, planted my feet, and threw a straight right hand, all my weight behind it, connected clean with his nose. Felt the crunch. Saw the blood start immediately, pouring down his face, over his lips, onto his red jersey, making it darker red. He stumbled backward, hit a table, went down. For about 3 seconds, I thought it was over. I'd defended myself, landed a good punch. He was down. In Australia, that would have been it. His mates would have grabbed him, my mates would have grabbed me, maybe some words exchanged, maybe the bar would have kicked us all out, but it would have been done. But this wasn't Australia. His 4 mates rushed me all at once. I saw them coming, but there was nothing I could do. Someone hit me from the side, another from behind. I went down hard, knee hitting the concrete floor, pain shooting up my leg. I tried to get up, got kicked in the ribs, sharp pain that took my breath away. Managed to grab someone's leg, pulled them down, threw a punch wildly, no idea if it connected. Someone was pulling my shirt, choking me. Rob and Mike were shouting, trying to pull people off me, but they were outnumbered too. Chairs scraping, glass breaking, women screaming. The whole bar erupted, more Thai guys joining in, not even involved, but jumping in because it was a fight and I was the foreigner. I took another kick to the side, got my arm up to protect my head. Someone stepped on my hand. I finally got to my feet, swinging at anything that moved, connected with someone's shoulder, took a punch to my ear that made everything ring. It probably lasted 30 seconds. Felt like 10 minutes. I was operating on pure adrenaline and panic. No technique, no strategy, just survival. Rob was yelling. Mike was trying to pull me toward the door. I could see the Thai guy with the bloody nose back on his feet, being held back by the bar owner, screaming at me in Thai, pointing. Then I heard it. The whistle. Shrill, cutting through all the noise. Everyone froze. Police. 2 cops in brown uniforms, standing at the entrance, whistles around their necks, hands on their belts. One of them shouted something in Thai, and everyone started backing away from me. The bar went quiet, except for people breathing hard and someone crying. The 2 cops walked over. One went to the Thai guy with the bloody nose, started talking to him. The other came to me. He didn't speak, just gestured for me to come with him. I looked at Rob. His face was pale. He said, "I'll call the tourist police. We'll sort this out." I nodded, still thinking this was fixable. A misunderstanding, self-defense. They'd see that. I walked outside with the cop. There was a police truck parked on the road, lights flashing. The Thai guy from the fight came out too, holding a towel to his nose, blood all over his shirt. His mates followed, talking fast in Thai to the cops, pointing at me, gesturing, reenacting what happened from their perspective. I tried to explain. He pushed me first. I was defending myself. I didn't start this. The cop held up his hand. No English. Wait. They put me in the back of the police truck. Not handcuffed, not arrested exactly, but definitely not free to leave. The Thai guy got in a separate part, a barrier between us. I could hear him talking to the cops, animated, angry. His friends were outside, talking to the other cop, all of them gesturing and explaining. I sat there, adrenaline wearing off, pain starting to register in my ribs, my hand, my jaw. I could see Rob and Mike on their motorbike, following the truck. Rob had his phone out, making calls, and that's when it hit me. This wasn't going to blow over. This wasn't a bar fight that ends with everyone going home. I'd just punched a Thai local in a Thai bar in front of Thai witnesses with Thai police involved, and I was the foreigner. I watched the streets of Jomtien pass by through the truck window, the bars and restaurants and hotels all lit up, tourists and expats walking around happy and drunk and free. And I realised my life here had just fundamentally changed. The dream was over. I just didn't know yet how expensive the wake-up call was going to be. The Jomtien police station at 1 a.m. is not where you want to be. Fluorescent lights humming, concrete walls painted that institutional green that every government building in the world seems to use. Metal desk with a bored-looking cop doing paperwork. A holding area with bars where I could see a couple of Thai guys sleeping on a bench. It smelled like disinfectant and cigarette smoke and fear. They put me in a plastic chair. The Thai guy from the bar, still holding the towel to his nose, was across the room giving his statement. His mates were there too, all talking at once, gesturing, showing the cops photos on their phones. I realised with a sinking feeling that they'd been filming. Of course they had. Everyone films everything now. They had video evidence of me punching their friend. Never mind what led to it. Never mind that he pushed me first. They had me on camera throwing the punch that broke his nose. Rob and Mike arrived about 20 minutes later. Rob went straight to the desk, trying to explain in his broken Thai that I was his friend, that there'd been a misunderstanding. The cop at the desk just nodded and pointed at the chairs. Wait. We waited. 40 minutes, maybe an hour. The Thai guy was taken to another room. His friends left. More cops came in, changed shifts, looked at me like I was a problem they didn't want to deal with. My ribs were aching, a deep bruising pain every time I breathed. My hand was swelling where someone had stepped on it. My jaw throbbed. But worse than the physical pain was the growing realization of how badly I'd messed up. Finally, a different cop arrived. Older guy, more decorations on his uniform, spoke better English. This was the tourist police. He sat down across from me, pulled out a notebook and said, "Tell me what happened." I told him everything. The accidental bump, the apology, the push, my pushback, the punch he threw, my punch in response. Self-defense, I kept saying. He started it. I was defending myself. The tourist police cop listened, took notes, didn't interrupt. When I finished, he sat back and sighed. He said, "You understand this is serious. You broke his nose. There is blood. There are witnesses. There is video." I said, "But he hit me first." I was defending myself. He shook his head slowly, like a teacher disappointed with a student who should know better. He said, "In Thailand, if someone pushes you and you push back, you are both wrong. If someone hits you and you hit back harder, you are more wrong. Self-defense means walking away. Self-defense means avoiding confrontation. Self-defense does not mean punching back." I felt something cold settle in my stomach. I said, "So what happens now?" He explained. The man I punched, his name was Somchai, 32 years old, worked in construction, lived here his whole life. He was claiming assault. He had medical bills for his broken nose. He had witnesses who said I was aggressive, that I pushed first, that I was drunk and looking for trouble. The bar owner confirmed there was a fight and I was involved. The video showed me throwing the punch. I could be charged with assault. That meant going to court. Court meant staying in Thailand, probably being held in custody or on bail, legal fees, weeks or months of process. If convicted, I could face jail time, a fine, deportation, and a ban from returning to Thailand. Even if I wasn't convicted, I'd have a record of the arrest that would follow me. Or, he said, "You can settle." I said, "Settle? Like pay him?" He nodded. In Thailand, many cases like this, both parties agree to compensation and the matter is closed. No charges, no court, no record. You pay for his medical bills, his lost work, pain and suffering. He agrees not to press charges. Everyone moves on. I asked how much. He said he'd speak with Somchai and find out. The next hour was a blur of waiting and anxiety. Rob sat with me, trying to be positive, saying it would be okay, we'd sort it out. Mike had gone back to grab my wallet and phone from the bar, make sure nobody stole my stuff. I just sat there, numb, watching Thai cops come and go, listening to conversations I couldn't understand, feeling more foreign and vulnerable than I ever had. The tourist police cop came back. He said, "Somchai wants 150,000 baht. I did the math in my head. That was about 6,800 Australian dollars for a broken nose. I said, "You're joking. That's insane." He said, "That's what he wants. Hospital costs, dental check because his teeth hurt, time off work, pain and suffering, and compensation for the disrespect." Disrespect. That word again. I'd embarrassed him in front of his friends. I'd made him lose face. In Thailand, that had a price tag. I said, "I don't have that kind of money just sitting around. That's a quarter of my savings." He shrugged. That's his demand. You can refuse, go to court, take your chances. But I tell you, as friend, foreigner always loses in Thai court. You'll pay more in legal fees. You'll be here for months. You might go to jail. Or you pay now, sign paper, go home, forget this happened. Rob said quietly, "Mate, just pay it. It's not worth the risk." I wanted to argue. I wanted to say this was extortion, this was unfair. I was the victim here as much as he was. But sitting in that police station at 2 a.m, with a swollen hand and bruised ribs and a room full of Thai cops who clearly weren't on my side, I knew I had no leverage. I was in their country, under their laws, surrounded by their people. I could be right and still lose everything. I said, "Fine, I'll pay it." But it wasn't just 150,000 baht. Tourist police cop pulled out a calculator and started adding up costs. The hospital examination for Somchai, they had to document his injuries officially. That was 7,000 baht. My examination too, since I was claiming I'd been assaulted as well, another 7,000. Processing fees for the settlement paperwork, 10,000 baht. And then, almost apologetically, he mentioned the lawyer. I said, "What lawyer?" He explained that to make the settlement official, to ensure I couldn't be charged later, I needed a Thai lawyer to draw up and witness the agreement. He recommended one, a woman named Kun Pen who handled these cases all the time. Her fee for this was 50,000 baht. I said, 50,000? For what? An hour of work? He said, she makes sure you're protected. She makes sure this is finished. Otherwise, maybe Somchai changes his mind next week, demands more money, or goes to police anyway. The lawyer makes it binding. I looked at Rob. He nodded. You need the lawyer, mate. Don't risk it. So I agreed. 150,000 for Somchai, 14,000 for the medical examinations, 10,000 for processing fees, 50,000 for the lawyer. 224,000 baht total. But then there was the bar. The owner was demanding compensation for the broken chairs, the glasses, the disruption to business. 8,000 baht, and my own bar tab from before the fight, which I'd never paid. 2,000 baht, grand total, 234,000 baht. I did the conversion on my phone, hands shaking. 10,664 Australian dollars. Nearly $11,000. Nearly a quarter of everything I'd saved over 5 years of waking up at 5 a.m. and working in ceiling spaces and living cheap and putting money away. Gone. Because I pushed back when someone pushed me. Because I threw a punch in self-defense. Because I thought I had the right to stand my ground. I called my bank in Australia at dawn, got them to do an emergency transfer to my Thai bank account. They asked if everything was okay, if I was being coerced. I lied and said no, just buying a motorbike, need the cash quick. The transfer would take until Monday, 2 days away. The tourist police cop said that was fine, I could stay at my apartment, but I needed to check in at the station every day until payment was made. I wasn't under arrest, but I wasn't free either. Those 2 days were hell. I barely slept. My ribs hurt so much I couldn't lie down comfortably. Every breath was a sharp reminder of what had happened. But worse than the physical pain was the mental spiral. I kept replaying the night in my head. If I'd just walked away when Rob told me to. If I'd just ignored the push. If I'd just gone to the bathroom, pissed, come back, finished my beer, left. The fight would have lasted 10 seconds and been forgotten by morning. Instead, I was about to hand over $10,000. Money I'd earned doing work I hated. Money that was supposed to buy me years of freedom. Money that represented thousands of hours of my life. Gone because of 30 seconds of pride and stupidity. Rob tried to cheer me up, said it could have been worse. At least I wasn't in jail. Mike brought food, made sure I ate. But I could see it in their eyes. They were scared now. Scared of what could happen if they messed up. The expat bubble we'd been living in, that feeling of safety and welcome, it had popped. We were guests here, tolerated, but ultimately disposable. One wrong move, and we could lose everything. On Monday, I went back to the station with the cash. $10,000 converted to Thai baht, rubber banded in stacks. It felt obscene, handing over that much money. Kun Pen, the lawyer, was there. Professional woman, maybe 40, spoke perfect English. She had me sign documents I barely understood. Somchai was there too, nose bandaged, looking smug. He signed the papers, took his money, didn't even look at me. His friends weren't there. This was just business now. The lawyer explained that the settlement stated both parties agreed to mutual compensation for a mutual altercation and that no further claims would be made. I was paying him, he was agreeing not to press charges, and officially we were both at fault and both satisfied. She said, "You're very lucky this is resolved so easily." Easily. $10,000. Easily. Before I left, the tourist police cop pulled me aside. He said, friendly advice. You should leave Jomtien. Somchai's friends know where you live. Maybe they don't do anything, but maybe they do. Thai people have long memories. Someone loses face like this, they don't forget. Better you move to Bangkok, Chiang Mai, somewhere else. Start fresh. I felt like I'd been punched again. Leave? Leave my apartment, my routine, my friends, my neighborhood. The place I'd call home for 6 months. He said, It's not order, just advice. But if something happens again, next time, maybe we can't help you so easy. I moved out of my Jomtien apartment the next week, broke my lease, lost my deposit, packed my stuff. Rob and Mike helped me move to Bangkok. I found a cheaper place in the Onut area, a studio that wasn't as nice. 25,000 baht a month, no pool, no gym. It was farther from the beach. The neighbourhood was more chaotic, less expat friendly, but it was away from Jomtien, away from Somchai and his friends, away from the scene of my failure. The money situation was tight now. I'd gone from 45,000 Australian dollars to 34,000. At my old burn rate, I'd had 33 months of freedom left. Now I had maybe 25 months, and that was if I was more careful with spending. The comfortable cushion I'd built was significantly thinner. Every baht I spent now felt heavy with meaning, that worse than the money was the psychological damage. I was scared all the time. Every interaction with the Thai person, I was hyper-aware of giving offence. I apologised constantly. I walked away from anything that could become confrontation. Someone cut in front of me in line? I said nothing. Motorbike taxi charged me too much. I paid it. Street vendor gave me wrong change. I let it go. The confidence and comfort I'd felt for 6 months was gone, replaced by a nervous awareness that I was always one mistake away from disaster. I stopped going to bars much. The drinking slowed down. I became more isolated. Rob and Mike visited once, said Jomtien wasn't the same. Everyone was asking about me. The story had spread through the expat community. I was the cautionary tale now, the guy who fought back and learned the hard way. I thought about going home, back to Melbourne, back to the sparky work, back to the grind. My parents called, worried, said maybe it was time to come back. My old boss reached out, said there was still work if I wanted it. Part of me wanted to, the safe option, the sensible option, but I stayed. Not because Thailand was still the dream, but because going home felt like admitting complete defeat. I'd come here to escape, to find something better, to live differently. And yeah, I'd messed up spectacularly. I'd lost a huge chunk of money, and my sense of safety and my comfortable life in Jomtien. But I was still here, still in Thailand, still not waking up at 5 a.m. to go to a construction site in the cold. The thing I learned, the hard lesson that cost me $10,000 to understand, is that being right doesn't matter. In Thailand, in any foreign country really, your sense of justice and fairness and what's reasonable, it means nothing. You're playing by different rules. Rules you don't fully understand. Rules that favour locals over foreigners every single time. That push in the bar, in Australia, it would have been nothing. A moment of male posturing, maybe some words exchanged, probably over in seconds. But in Thailand, it was a challenge. A disrespect. Something that demanded response and compensation and resolution according to their cultural framework, not mine. And the punch, God, the punch. In my mind, it was self-defense. He hit me first, I hit him back, that's how fights work. But in Thailand, there's no glory in winning a fight. There's no credit for defending yourself. There's just consequences. Legal consequences, financial consequences, social consequences. You lose even when you win. If I could go back, if I could talk to myself that night in the bar, I'd grab my own shoulders and say, walk away. Doesn't matter that he pushed you. Doesn't matter that you're right. Doesn't matter what your pride is telling you. Just walk away. Go to a different bar. Go home. Go anywhere but into that fight. Because that punch cost you 6 months of freedom. That punch cost you your home. That punch cost you your peace of mind. And for what? For pride. For the principle of not backing down. It wasn't worth it. It will never be worth it. I'm still in Thailand as I write this. I'm still trying to make it work. My money's running low. I'll probably need to start doing some online work soon, maybe teaching English, something to extend my time here. But I'm different now. Humbler, more careful, more aware that I'm a guest in someone else's home, and guests don't get to make the rules. To anyone reading this, anyone thinking about living abroad, travelling, spending time in a foreign country, please hear this. Your home country rules don't apply. Your sense of what's fair and reasonable and justified, it's culturally specific. What works in New York or London or Sydney might get you arrested, or worse in Bangkok or Manila or anywhere else. If someone pushes you, apologise and walk away. If someone insults you, smile and walk away. If someone tries to start a fight, run if you have to. Your ego will survive. Your pride will heal. But your bank account, your freedom, your future in that country, those things might not survive if you decide to stand your ground. I learned this lesson the most expensive way possible. I hope my story means you don't have to learn it the same way I did. That's Jake's story. And here's the thing that gets me every time I read these accounts from people who've been through similar situations. Jake wasn't the troublemaker. He wasn't drunk and belligerent. He wasn't looking for a fight or trying to prove something. He was just a normal guy who reacted the way most of us would react if someone pushed us in a bar. He pushed back. That's it. That's the entire crime. He responded to aggression with an equal amount of aggression. And it cost him $11,000 and his home and 6 months of psychological peace. This happens all the time in Thailand and across Southeast Asia. Foreigners get into altercations, usually minor ones, usually ones where they're partially or even mostly in the right, and they end up paying massive settlements or facing jail time or getting deported, because the system isn't designed to be fair to outsiders. It's designed to protect locals, to maintain social harmony, and to extract maximum compensation when someone breaks that harmony. The lesson isn't just about Thailand. It's about understanding that when you're in a foreign country, you're operating without the protections and privileges you take for granted at home. You don't have rights, not really. You have whatever rights that country chooses to give you, and those can disappear in a second if you do something, anything, that puts you on the wrong side of local law or custom. Jake's still over there, still trying to rebuild what he lost. He says he wants to come back eventually, properly this time, with the right mindset and the right humility. I hope he does. But his story stands as a warning to everyone watching this. That moment of standing your ground, that instant of pushing back, that split-second decision to not back down because you're right and they're wrong, it can change your entire life. $10,000. 6 months of savings. Your home. Your peace of mind. That's what pride costs in Thailand. The question you have to ask yourself is it worth it? Because I guarantee you, sitting in that police station at 2 in the morning, counting out cash you can't afford to lose, you'll realise the answer was always no. If you're planning to travel or live abroad, remember Jake. Remember that being right doesn't protect you. Remember that your home country rules don't apply. And remember that walking away, apologising even when you've done nothing wrong, swallowing your pride and leaving, that's not cowardice, that's survival. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Have you had a close call like this? Have you been in a situation where you had to choose between standing your ground and walking away? What did you choose? Hit that like button if this story made you think twice about how you'd handle confrontation abroad. And subscribe because we've got more cautionary tales coming that might just save you from making an expensive mistake. Stay safe out there. See you in the next one.